This is my recap of Project Runway Under the Gun, Season 1, Episode 4, Unconventional Vampire. So I apologize for being a little bit late, but I've been out of town. So we'll go straight into the challenge. Basically, the challenge is inspired by a movie coming out called Vampire Academy, which is a teenage vampire movie. They take the designers out to a spooky area and show them a trailer and basically say, here's your inspiration. Now, my biggest critique of this entire episode is that they call this the Unconventional Challenge. Now, typically in unconventional challenges, you go to a supermarket or a party store and people are making things out of vegetables or plastic cups, and it's really, really different. That is not what this episode is about. There's very little mentioned. There's very little unconventional material. The judges barely mention it. It would have been more accurate to call it an unconventional detail challenge because everybody had like a little something. But if this is our only unconventional material challenge this season, I'm going to be really disappointed. So the designers were allowed to have 5 bolts of fabric and then as many unconventional materials as they want. And I couldn't really see what the options were because it's so dark and spooky. But there were like rubber bats, bats, and fangs and like hay. But in general, there were like some token comments about unconventional materials, but in general, this just was non-existent. So that's my biggest problem with the whole episode. We go to the workroom and they have the poll that's in the bottom of the TV screen where people can live response, and people think this is a difficult challenge. This is not a difficult challenge. This is an easy challenge. So, but they think every challenge is a difficult challenge. So in my opinion, this is one of the easier challenges they'll get, especially because we pretty much just threw the unconventional part out the window. My favorite part of Project Runway Under the Gun is the time that Tim spends talking to the mentors about mentoring. Tim has been a focal point of this show because he is so good at what he does. He is able to give advice to unbelievably different designers and help each of those designers become more of who they are. And so being able to watch him talk about that process and give feedback to the mentors has been a really cool new aspect to the show that I do enjoy. So basically his summary is that Anya's doing good, keep going at it. His advice to Mondo is to be a little bit tougher. Nick's big problem is that he's not mentoring, he's just telling people what to do. And Nick says he's going to be better, but I don't think, I feel bad saying this, I just don't think this is his strong point, and I don't think he's self-aware enough to realize that he's not doing a good job. So, and the more I watch him mentor, the more personally frustrating I find these interactions. So we go and we see them go and talk to their designers. Immediately we see the problem that Mondo's having where it's just clear that he doesn't know what to say. And I'm not sure whether it's that he is looking at the designs and is just like, I have no clue what they should do, or whether he knows what he wants to say and he's uncomfortable saying it, like he doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But it's clear that he's struggling and he knows he's struggling. And luckily Tim was there to kind of help him out. Anya gave some good advice, some tough advice, and Tim agreed that it was good advice, although it does come up again later. And then Nick, once again, I just can't with his interactions with his designers. I just feel like he sees something that's different than what he would do and he doesn't like it and he wants them to change it. Tim always has this point when he's talking to designers over all the seasons where at some point he pushes, like maybe this might not be a good idea. The designers push back that this is what they want to do. And then Tim says, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, then you need to commit or you need to take it all the way or something. And he kind of gives them like, okay, here's the room. And Nick just would not allow that to happen. He just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And I find it very difficult to watch. So then we get to Runway Day. It's clear that Isabel is unbelievably unhappy with her designs, and she really feels that that is Nick's doing. Tim is about to kill her because once again, time is up and she's running around with scissors and trying to change things. And I mean, I feel really bad for her because if you've ever been in that situation where you know that you failed and you have to go through with it, it is just awful. But I'm totally with Tim, and that he is just over this, and I think that's justified. So we get out to the runway. I want to talk about the judges real quickly. So what I like in a judge is someone who is informative, factual, and gives me food for fodder. So I listen and I understand more about the industry. I'm not looking for a judge who's doing a little stand-up act, who's trying to say something witty and so funny. I'm just not interested in that. And I am looking at you, Jen Raid. So she seems like nice. I'm sure if we went out to lunch, we'd probably have a great time. We could be real snarky and stuff. But I don't find, as a judge, her to be the most informative. It seems like she's always trying to do these little one-liners. And she was the one who gave Brady the advice that the information about him being too juvenile was bad advice. And I felt bad because I think that Anya was right. Even good advice from a mentor doesn't mean that the designer always does better. Sometimes they don't take it. And his design to me looked very juvenile. I thought it would look very appropriate for like a 14-year-old going to her first opera or something. So I felt a little bad, and I didn't agree with the judges. But I like the other judges, although I never like the celebrity actress judges whose their only feedback is I would wear this or I wouldn't wear this, because that's not how fashion's judged. Like, a lot of what I wear is not fashion. It's, and there's a lot of great fashion that I wouldn't wear. So to say, oh, I would wear that or I wouldn't wear that, unless specifically the challenge was, would you wear this? I don't think that's a great criteria, but I guess it gets people to watch, to see the famous judges. I don't really know. So we go into the top two looks. There was Asha and Michelle. Both were great designs. I agreed with Xana about the thing up here on Michelle's. I just didn't feel that it really fit. So good job, Xana. Asha clearly had more unconventional materials, and the judges barely mentioned it. So this comes back to my original gripe about this was not an unconventional challenge. This was just a challenge with, like, kind of token, like, well, maybe include these things, but we're really not going to judge you on it. If it really was a conventional challenge, then I felt that Asha should have won. But I don't have a problem with Michelle winning because it was a great design, and clearly they're just not taking that criteria into account when judging. In terms of the loser going home and having Anya pick, I felt that was kind of a gimmick. The idea of the show is that the judges pick the winner and the judges send home the least qualified designer. Having Anya pick kind of undermines that, and but I'm not screaming foul. I just think it wasn't necessary, but I guess it adds a little something to the show. So that's my impression of the episode. Not a horrible episode, but I'm still upset with the fact that they called it Unconventional Challenge. Okay, so I will see you guys later.